Hey guys, welcome back to Raw Synergy TV. Today I had my very first Cranial Sacral Therapy session, and it was so fascinating. I thought you guys might be interested in hearing about this therapy. I've known about this therapy for a long time, but I don't know a whole lot about it. And recently, several people have brought this therapy up in conversation, and I know enough when I hear about something several times that maybe it's a message that I need to look into more. I'll start by saying I'm really in tune with my body. So I'm very sensitive to how I feel, energies in my body. I'm an empath, I'm in tune with my surroundings, and all of that kind of stuff. So I went to a woman who's an energy healer and is also trained in the Cranial Sacral Therapy. When I got there, she interviewed me and asked me lots of questions about my life, my history. And I told her about my previous issues with my neck and my head going out of alignment, kind of shared all the things that were going on in my life at the moment, and then we began. So she had me lay down on this massage table, face up, and you're fully clothed, and she just sat there tuning into my body at first, and she had me tune in as well. She asked me where I felt she should start, and I kind of gave her an idea of maybe my hands or my knees or possibly my lower back, because I was feeling a little something going on in my lower back. And she said, yeah, she says, I'm getting the sense to go to your lower back. So she put her hand under the sheet, under my back, right in the small of my back, and just let her hand rest there. All of a sudden, I could start feeling like this pulsing sensation going throughout my body, and a lot I could feel in my chest area. And she just left her hand there and just was, I guess, sending energy and sensing energy throughout my body. After a while, I could feel my body kind of start to relax, and then I started feeling energy shifts taking place in my body and little things happening. Then from there, she moved to my knee area at one point, and then she moved when her hand was under my shoulder blade, I started to feel like sharp, intense pains in my wrist area, almost like somebody was stabbing me there, or I don't know, it was just this very interesting sharp pain. And I was also feeling some sensations in my left wrist, and my thumbs were kind of twitching, and I had hairline fractures in both of my arms at different times from accidents that I had. So I don't know if it was related to that or something else. I mean, I had lots of interesting issues with my wrists over time because I was a guitar player for a long time, and that would cause me wrist and arm issues. I was sensing a lot of energy going out through my feet. Like my feet were buzzing, and I could feel like energy moving out through my feet. And then I could start feeling it going out through my head and coming up into my head and my forehead. I could feel the energy in my body just shifting and morphing all at like different times. It was just so interesting. I started to get a visual of myself as a young child. Like this vision of myself as a young child just kind of came over me. And I told that younger part of myself, I love you. And then all of a sudden, tears just started forming in my eyes and streaming down my face. And I told the therapist, I'm like, wow, I'm totally getting emotional right now. And she asked me to explain why I was getting emotional, and I shared my experience with her and just went with it. Just let the emotions come, and I just kept breathing and feeling these sensations in my back, twitches and slight movements. And she was feeling a lot of the same things that I was feeling, or sensing them, I should say. She was sensing those same things, those same movements in my body. And then after a while, the emotions just like completely cleared up, and I would think about that same thing again, and I would just feel so light, like thinking of myself being a child and just being light and just free, and like no emotions were coming up about it. So then she would sense somewhere else to go in my body. So then she sensed needing to go to my left shoulder. So she put her hand under my left shoulder, and I could sense that it felt really tense, and my shoulder felt really stiff. And the longer she held her hand there, and the more that I would just like breathe and feel into it, then I could kind of feel it starting to release. But there was like so much tension in that one space. And then I started to think about more childhood stuff, like just like support, like really just like giving myself support as a child. And then more tears came. Like I just got so emotional, and then there was like this release, like my shoulder just completely started to let go very slowly. It just released and let go, and then the emotional aspect of that was so light again, and I felt so free from whatever that was. And then I think before that, she came to an area on my chest. She said, I just feel a little sense of needing to like send energy to my chest area. And so she did that with her other hand. She put her hand over my chest. And then she came to my head area and came behind me and just barely put her hands on my temples and my head. It was such a gentle, gentle touch, but I could then feel more energy like flowing and moving through my body. And at one point, it almost felt like she was pulling my head like so gently, but that my head was being completely elongated, or my upper body was being elongated as her hands just kind of gently went with the energy that my body was releasing. But it felt like I was getting so long, and that my head was just releasing all this energy. And then she started talking about the birthing canal and being in birth or being in utero, and how our bodies can imprint stuff that happens either in utero or during the birthing process. And for me, I remained in the same place. My mom said I never moved in her stomach, that I remained in the same place the entire time I was in her belly. And when I came out, my face was like smushed in, and that I was like, my face was almost lopsided because I was just like in the same place the whole time. And that can really affect how you're aligned throughout your life. Like if you're imprinted in a way, like your body's in a position and you come out imprinted in a way, it can affect your posture and your alignment. It can affect your vision throughout your life. So it was interesting that she started talking about that, and she was saying how things in my cranial area were releasing, and stuff that had to do with me being birthed, stuff was happening there, and there was just so much going on with my body during this session. I just feel like I released so much stuff. I feel like my body released so much tension. Then I started feeling like sharp pains in the left side of my upper back next to my spine. I was feeling like really sharp, very similar pains that I was feeling in my wrist or my forearm when I was feeling those pains. It kind of like went into my back. Not unbearable. I mean, it wasn't like, I wouldn't say much higher than a 4 or a 5 on a scale of pain, but it was totally livable. But it was just interesting observing my body and what it was going through, and just kind of letting it do its thing and not fighting it, just really releasing, really being in the moment, really just letting go and letting my body do its thing. So after talking about the birthing process and how that can imprint and affect your body, and then I had this release of my neck and more energy being released. She was feeling lots of heat. She's like, wow, you're releasing so much heat right now. And I could definitely feel it, like my body felt hot, especially where her hands were. And then she felt drawn to going to my feet area and just sending energy or helping to release energy there, because I definitely had a lot of energy flowing out through my feet, which is definitely a good thing, I think. It's always good for energy to release and be able to get out. And then I had another wave of emotion hit me, and gosh, it was just me thinking again about the birthing process and just thinking about holding myself as a baby and being there for myself, like me, the adult now, surrounding myself as a baby in the birthing canal and ushering myself out with just this sense of protection, still processing that emotion. Whew. And then just sending myself as a baby just so much support and love and protection. And not that I'd never had that as a baby, because I totally did, but there was just something about that moment that, for whatever reason, I just felt the need to do that. And just this huge flood of emotion came over me again. So then when it was all done, I sat up on the table, and I swear I felt like 6 feet tall. I'm 5'3", but I felt like I was 6 feet tall. I just felt so tall and so expansive. I felt like I came into a different awareness within myself, within my body, and I don't know, I just felt so different. And when I got home and I was explaining this to my husband, he was like, "You look different. You look really relaxed and you just look different." And I still feel like, as you can tell, I'm still processing this experience. So afterward, when I was talking to the therapist, we were talking about my experiences that I had, especially because the Craniosacral Therapy really does help the body deal with stuff that happened at birth. She said, "And isn't it interesting that it's the Labor Day weekend?" And I just went, oh my goodness, so interesting. The events that led me to going, and that I would go on the Labor Day weekend, and I just was like, wow. It was very interesting, the events that led to seeing this particular therapist, because I had been given the name of 2 other therapists the day before, but for whatever reason I couldn't get their information or their phone numbers. I luckily found the woman that I went to before calling these other 2 people, because the way that she facilitated the whole thing was beyond perfect, and it was such a great experience for me that I wanted to share it here, so that, one, I could always come back to this and remember my experience, but also to help other people who might be interested in this type of therapy. I can't wait to see how my body reacts after this, because I only had it done this morning, and I feel my body is still shifting and has been shifting throughout the day. So it'll really be interesting to see what transpires from here. Before this video gets too much longer, I just want to say, if you like this video, like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all here next Thursday. Thanks for watching.